How's it going, everybody? My name is Jonathan. I'm one of the owners of J&J Lawn Care. I am 20 years old. I started doing this when I was 10 years old. Here's a photo of me at 10 years old. This is the first photo that I have taken of me with a mower, but this is me mowing my backyard, my dad's work boots on, and I think I might have actually been 8 or 9 in this photo. I'm not 100% sure, but that's kind of when my love for landscaping, I think, began. Kind of just to give you guys like a little brief background on kind of how I got into this industry, since a lot of people wonder why I got myself into this industry, is I think I just felt this sort of satisfaction like immediately whenever I was doing landscaping work. Like you could forget about everything and just focus on like nature and making whatever you're working on beautiful. Like for instance, before I started getting clients, I spent 2 years, probably from the ages of 8 to 10, perfecting the landscaping on my own property. I started off with obviously mowing the lawn and stuff, and then I got into trimming the shrubs on my property, learning how to work with hand tools when trimming shrubs. Then I got into the weed whacking. My mom liked to do the weed whacking with her electric weed whacker, so I was only doing the mowing, but I would wait till she would go and run errands and leave the house. And then that's when I would weed whack the sidewalks and stuff, trim the shrubs, because she didn't want me doing any of it because she thought I was going to mess stuff up, which is actually kind of funny. So I had high standards to begin with because my mom cared so much about the landscaping. Um, Kind of put a lot of pressure on me. Like whenever she would drive home, I would take that opportunity to try to perfect whatever work it was I was doing. So when she got home, she could be kind of shocked. That's kind of how I first started like gaining experience for landscaping. And again, I did it because I love the satisfaction of trimming an overgrown shrub and then making it look nice and neat, mowing an overgrown lawn and putting beautiful stripes in it. Like that's something I loved right off the bat. And then that's kind of when I started to go out and walk around my neighborhood and ask people to do their landscaping. And I quickly realized people don't want to hire a 10-year-old kid to do their landscaping work because they don't think he has enough skill or experience. So that was a bit unfortunate. Um, but I mean, I really didn't let it get in the way, honestly. I was kind of just like, okay, I'm just going to have to go farther than my neighborhood now. And obviously, not having a car or any sort of transportation makes this difficult. So what did I do? I decided to push my little push mower across town in the middle of the summer, literally knocking on doors, door to door. And I kid you not, when I tell you I wasn't a shy kid, but going to knock on random people's doors in my town was the biggest step I've ever taken out of my comfort zone ever. Like I did not like doing that all. I did not like doing that at all. But I'm pretty thankful for it, honestly, because just like learning how to communicate with adults older than you at a young age. By the time I'm 20 now, I feel like I'm the same age as every single adult I talk to. I have the knowledge, I have the skills. It's like a win-win for me. Like I know how to connect with people. I know how to create small talk with them. Because when you're going to do an estimate, you'll learn this is if you're only talking about the work that's being done, you have a less chance of selling that job because the people aren't getting to know who you are. People aren't just hiring you for your service, they're hiring you because of you and your company. So if you can build this level of trust and friendliness while you're doing an estimate, you're going to succeed. It's that simple. You're going to succeed. Um, and I'm not saying go do an estimate and start asking about this client's kids and stuff because that's going to come off wrong. Um, I'm saying create some sort of small talk with them. If it's the holidays or whatever, you can ask like what they're doing for the holidays, and you tell them what you're doing for the holidays. That's just an example. Obviously, I do like to get to know all of my clients and their families, so I do talk about and ask my clients about how their kids are doing and stuff like that. But that comes with time. Once you get to know a client, once they get to know you, that's kind of where that small talk's going to turn into deeper conversations, essentially. So, um, so basically, yeah, I started knocking on doors. Literally had zero luck. I mowed. Someone finally responded like day 3 of me knocking on doors, and I was planning on mowing all these lawns on the spot. That's why I had my mower with me. So the first house I got was in Old Greenwich. That's the town I'm from in Connecticut, and the person accepted my price. I think I charged her $35 to mow her lawn. It was a pretty big lawn for me at that time. I think it was like half acre, and I'm mowing the lawn, and I look in the window just coincidentally, and it's someone from my grade, this girl from my grade, and I was like, "Oh my god, oh my god." That's what I was like. So I was embarrassed. I'm like, I don't want to be seen mowing some girl's yard in my grade. So I got through with it, mowed the lawn, got the money, and I never ended up going back. And that was just because I didn't want to be mowing someone's lawn from my grade. But I think a few weeks later I kind of realized I was like, I'm gonna build a business and I'm gonna build clients. I can't be afraid of what other people think of me. And I developed that mindset really quickly when I was first starting out at the age of like 10. And that changed everything for me. That changed everything. Like, you got to put into perspective that I'm from a very wealthy area. That's the truth. I'm not going to lie about that. So, it is unheard of to see a kid walking through your little town with a push mower. It is unheard of. People give you weird looks, they give you dirty looks. That's what I dealt with for years. It was crazy. It was crazy that people would even think that way, but that was just the case. But because I developed this mindset of not giving a frick what anyone said or thought about me or how they looked at me, it allowed me to keep going through neighborhoods and town in different towns. My town's very small, so there are lots of little towns close to it. Um, so it allowed me literally to not care. I honestly started laughing at it when some mom in a Porsche would roll down her window and just like stare at me out of like disgust. And I was like, okay, adios. I'm going to make my $20 mowing a lawn. $20 was a ton of money for me back then. um, so that was what I found pretty funny. And I think it led to just all the success that we've had. It's just like kind of stepping out of your comfort zone is going to lead to a lot of good things, always. Always will. And the only people who ever showed me respect were the landscapers. The landscapers, when they're driving by in their trucks and stuff, they would honk their horn and smile and everything. And I'm telling you right now, that made my day. It made my day every single time someone did that. It was the most beautiful thing ever. And that's what I'm trying to do for other kids starting landscaping businesses in my town. Whenever I see a client's kid looking out the window, watching us do work, like I wave at them, try to be funny and stuff, because that's something I always loved. I always loved when an older adult, who usually was a landscaper, showing me um, just the pure joy they had. I think that's kind of what made the landscaping industry so special in a way. Um, I think that is what's so special about the landscaping industry is Like once you find your group of people and friends and stuff, it doesn't matter how much money you're making or whatever. It's just the people that you have around you. And that's honestly what I love so much about it. Um, and just also just a brief background is like my mom specifically was not okay with me walking through town with a mower or whatever because she was scared what other people in town were going to think about her son. So like I would get home from mowing lawns and stuff, and like quite honestly, like she she would scream at me and get mad at me for doing it. I think that just kind of kept making me want to do it more, honestly. Um, but that was kind of like one of the biggest challenges. Like the first few years was just like my mom didn't want me doing this. People in town were staring at me, so it was literally just me trying to make some money and save it. And I wasn't making like I wasn't doing this because I wanted to go buy some cool toy or whatever video game. I was making this money in intentions of saving up as much money as I could to buy a truck when I had enough money or to get newer equipment. Like I was saving this money. I wasn't spending this money. Just to make that very clear because there are a lot of kids starting little side businesses to buy what they want, which is good. That's how it should be, but that's not what I was doing. Um, and then I kind of like I learned how to advertise on like Facebook, Next Door Neighbor, all those platforms, and that's kind of when I started getting a lot more work. I was probably 14, 15 at the time, and some of the jobs were farther. So that's when my dad helped me create a wooden bike cart to put my mower, my weed whacker, my gas on, and just I could bike around with it. It made it easier than walking, but let me tell you, just imagine a Toro mower, a weed whacker, gas, you're pulling about 100 pounds with the weight of the cart as well on a bike. That's difficult. That that built some toughness in me. I'll tell you that much. But that's kind of how I got around at the ages of 14 and 15. I probably had 15 clients at that point. I was making really good money for a 14, 15-year old, honestly. Um, but then I started getting jobs that were farther away, so I would beg my mom to drive me in the back of her Subaru with the mower. Um, and like I might not have shown it at the time, but like I was so grateful for her doing that because as you guys know, she wasn't too fond of this landscaping idea and her son being a landscaper. So her driving me through town and to other places with gas and mowers in her trunk was definitely out of her comfort zone. Um, but like I was really appreciative of that. Like I knew in my head when all that was going on that if she kept doing this for me for like another few months, I would easily have enough money saved up to buy my first truck or buy new equipment that I wanted. And that's when so I did this all through high school. I was making good money. I At that point I had enough money saved up for a truck, but I mean I didn't have my permit or license yet. Um so when I finally got my permit, I was like, okay, I'm driving by myself now. I took my dad's Yukon. It was a suburban Yukon. It wasn't a didn't have a pickup bed in it. I would just fold all the seats down. This is an old car that we didn't use much. And I would drive that around. And that's also driving that Yukon around is how I got so much of my business. This was a 2001. This was an old, rusty Yukon XL. But I made it work. I made it work. And I could have bought in a truck at that point, but I just kept saving and saving. Like, I don't know what it was with me, but I like saving money. That's what I like to do. Um, so when I got my official driver license that summer, my grandma knew my interest in landscaping and everything. She was also one of the people who um, taught me to love landscaping. She was always working with our landscapers in the on our property, and she wrote a check for me for my 16th birthday, I believe, and it was enough money to put to basically pay for my first truck, essentially. Um, it was a used truck, 2008 GMC 1500. My dad went to go look at it, and he was the one who surprised me on my birthday with that. And that moment that I got that truck was the moment I knew that I could. It was only up from there. I knew it. I knew it from that moment that as soon as I got that truck, stuff would take off. And and from that moment, junior year of high school, that's when things took off. Um, because you need a truck. A truck is key to everything. But kind of as you guys have heard, you don't need to start off with a truck. Use what you have available to you. Um, and oh, I almost forgot about this, but one of my friends in high school named Jordan, this was sophomore and junior year of high school, right before I got my truck. He had a Ford F-150 pickup truck, and I told him, I'm like, hey, we're going to split everything 50-50. If you want to work with me, drive me around to my properties, do all that, I'll give you 50% of everything. That might sound crazy to you guys, just giving up 50% of your profits, but that's what I did. I did that because like it was a huge part of my business, and without him, like I wouldn't have gained a lot more experience. I wouldn't have been able to gain more clients and get my name out there. And that actually is why the name of the company is J&J Lawn Care. Me and him both named it. His name was Jordan, my name was Jonathan, and we named it J&J Lawn Care. The name has not changed. He's no longer part of the business. Me and him only did it for a few months. He's still my best friend to this day. He just didn't have a huge interest in landscaping, but I'm forever grateful for him. And then senior year, stuff was going really good. I was making really good money as a high schooler. I was probably like pocketing profit each week, probably about like $2,000 each week. Um, but I had the decision of whether or not I was going to college. Again, I come from an affluent area. Everyone goes to college in my town. So that's kind of how I was raised. So I was like, okay, I'm going to have to go to college. Um, Realized that I was going to be going to college, and um, I didn't want to stop my business. That was the most amount of stress you could ever imagine going through my head at that time. Crazy amount of stress. So that's why I was like, I'm going to have to find a business partner who's staying here locally, um, that can help run my business while I'm away. And this is kind of when a whole new world of things opened up. This is when I like to say I became a legit business. Um, so 2 months, 3 months before I was off to college, I reached out to my business partner to this day. His name's Rudy. I reached out to Rudy since I knew he did a lot of work and stuff, over the years through high school. I didn't really know him that well, honestly. Mainly just mutually knew him. And I was like, hey, Rudy, do you want to come start working with me this summer? I didn't tell him about any sort of partnership off the bat, um, because I needed to see if he was in this for the long term. I didn't have much experience on business, obviously, at this point, but I knew that I can't just give someone 50% of the business and just call it that. I need to see that this person is willing to take the business where I want to take it. So that was very important. So he worked with me that summer. It was my first time kind of really training someone to think the way I think. Obviously, it was rough, but I mean, looking back at it, he did pick up stuff pretty quickly, and I really felt a lot of confidence in him. Um, and I left for college that the end of summer that year, and he was on his own, which is a big change. He's new to the landscaping industry and running a company now. Obviously, with my help with scheduling and all the behind the scenes, but he's there on his own. So, as you can imagine, that was a really rough few months, honestly. But we got through it. We got through it, and we gained more clients. Like, you want to look at the bigger picture, that's the big picture. We were on a positive trajectory, even with all the bumps and turns and the countless amount of stress that it put on me. It probably aged me at least 20 years, not gonna lie, but it worked. And we'll go into this in another video, kind of how me and Rudy's relationship kind of continued to grow and progress. But keeping it simple for you guys is we're finally at the point where me and him are both on the same mindset for where we want the business to go. We're not in full agreement with everything, obviously. That's how a partnership works. Um, Someone can't think the same exact way I think. It's never going to work that way. But everything is going great. I have a year and a half left of college. He has a year and a half left of college in our local college. So um, we're just trying to get through this next year and a half, so then we can both do this thing full time. We honestly are doing this full time right now. We literally just have school mixed in with it. So going full time will actually create less stress for us because we won't be dealing with school or any of that stuff. So that's a good way to think about it. And just to give you guys a quick idea, like leaving from college, I maybe had 25 weekly clients, let's say. Currently, today, we have probably close to 100 weekly clients. On top of that, we get one off jobs quite frequently, a few times a week, just doing cleanups on properties or whatever, miscellaneous jobs. Um, so stuff's going really well right now. It's going really well. Um, Finally feels like I'm running a business. Um, I'm finally being able to execute the skills and the knowledge I have to its full potential. Um, and I would say I'm hoping in the next 5 years we can honestly. My goal is to have 5 crews within the next 5 years. And I know some of you that might not sound like a lot, but we're focused towards high end work. That's how this company will work for however long it's around. We are focused on quality and high maintenance work for high maintenance people. That is what we are here to assist for. We don't want every single house in our town. We want the people that are going to choose quality. That's what we want, and that's what we stand by, and that's what we are always going to stand by. That's our company's kind of motto. Our company's motto is cultivating greatness one property at a time. That's what we're trying to do here. When you start sending out all these different crews, your quality is going to go down. So you got to make sure you train all of your crews properly. You need to make sure you have a proper crew leader for every single crew, and they know how I think, how Rudy thinks. That's very important. And that's the most challenging part about a landscaping business. Some people don't care about that. Some people just care about making a quick buck, getting as much cash as they can, and then so what if their business goes under? They don't care. So we are aiming for the complete opposite because there's a ton of those companies in our area, and we're here to kind of change that. So I hope you guys kind of enjoyed this little just kind of like recap of the last 10 years of my life. Obviously, I'll get into more depth with it going on, but hope you guys enjoyed this. stay tuned for the next video. Oh,